What's up, guys? I am doing my favorite thing I love to do every week, which was get up on a weekend and start 3D printing. Start a project, and I have, like I said, 1,000 projects going on all the time, 24/7 practically. I have printers in my makerspace. I have printers in my room or my living room. I have printers in my shop, where my business and everything, and it's overtaken my life in so many positive ways. But as I scour the internet and stuff, and I have my ear to the ground on the print 3D printing world and technology, what's happening, what's new, what's old, what's being replaced, real world applications going forward. How is it affecting our hobby and all that stuff? And I've kind of like formulated a hot take in my own opinion. Some people might fight me on this. Some people might praise me on this too. But we'll see. You know, and again, this is just my opinion and where I'm at in my current 3D printing journey. Okay, I don't have the big machines, the latest technology machines and everything, and it's kind of almost on purpose because like as I see a need for these new advanced machines that have multiple tool heads for multiple printing filaments, materials, multiple color, and all the things. And I'm like, this is great. This is where the technology is kind of like, thriving in a world where it's innovated. Innovation is happening from the ground level all the way to for like I said, applications that are 3D printing houses at this point. It's great. It's like it's a boulder that's going downhill and it's non-stopping. There's a lot of energy behind it. But as somebody who is into 3D printing droids and trinkets and just kind of household items and having a lot of fun with it, I think that's 90% of people who get into 3D printing, even to start a business, right? But I see a lot of YouTube channels, and I see a lot of things go happening on the companies that I support, meaning what I buy from. They are producing, like the next gen printer and the next gen printer off that, and piggybacking that. But the prices are they're they're at the point where it's like, who are you making these printers for? You know what I mean? I don't know where a $3,000 printer that does it all, $4,000 five with all the add-ons and everything else. Who are you making these printers for? I just hope they don't abandon which they call the entry level printers, which is like right here the Bamboo Lab, the A1s, A1 Minis, like some like Creality, Anycube, Prusa. All have these like entry level printers, right? But they're expanding their high tech printers or their high end printers, which a lot of people might say like those are the professional printers, right? Which these are the entry level, which I disagree. I 100% disagree. These are just as professional as the high end ones. You could do, if not the same quality, the same materials go through these, the same print speeds, everything else on the smaller printers that you could do with these bigger ones. The bigger ones have fancier features. For example, you can now they're starting to have multiple material. So like you have PLA and PETG, right? So those don't stick to each other. So you can have one as a support system for each other material, and they can easily peel away. So there's less post production. Take it off right of the printer, tear out the supports, and have a good one. Great technology, awesome, awesome. I feel like these printers will catch up to that. They'll have those features for the smaller ones. I believe that you could probably do it with the AMS system. You might get some problems with clogs and stuff, but it's there. It's just there to be built upon and built to expand, I think, which is great. And I said my hot take is these machines are going to be just as good as the high end machines, and you don't have to get into debt with them. You don't have to go and put it on a credit card and pay $12,000 for a $3,000 machine in the long run. You could buy four of these, five of these, and do way more, and better at times. I just want to, I just have a fear that the companies are going to price the hobbyists right out of the market, and they're going to gear it towards companies that will buy 100, 200 of the bigger machines and start manufacturing things for business wise and everything, and put us. We'll always exist, but with putting the tools out of our reach, they'll stop. My fear is they'll stop with the entry levels and only go high end. Um, I don't know how true that is, and I don't know where that's kind of like that is right now in this point with 3D printing. Again, 3D printing is still, in the grand scheme of things, a brand new household feature. It's still a tool that's not everybody's into, but a lot of people are interested in, and eventually they might get into it. And so my job, which I like to do on this channel, is to show you can do massive projects, medium projects, small projects, all on these so-called entry-level printers. And I want people to get into it. I want people to buy these printers. I want them to explore it and use those creative juices in them and create things from scratch, or pull down you know models and build off these printers without getting into, like I said, prices of cars, which they might get into. So it's like, there's still a lot more of us than there are of them, and that us versus them mentality is, again, it's the overpriced, overfeatured printers that somebody trying to get into it's going to be out of touch, out of reach. And they're like, well, I passed that market now. I want the companies to know that there's still a huge demand and market for entry level, and please don't abandon the entry levels. Not that they have any plans to. Again, and I could be just kind of like talking in an echo chamber here. They probably have zero plans, because I don't know. I'm just kind of like bringing a concern of mine that I think that, in my experience, I can still do all these things with these other printers, just a little bit more creativity, a little bit more post work, if you will. But sometimes that's the fun of it. It is therapy for a lot of people. Like to sit there and sand and stuff. I know that's like, for cosplayers, they're probably like, no, I'll buy a $10,000 machine just to peel it off and then put it on my body for cosplay. But there's also another half of cosplayers that love the journey. They love the post work. It's a lot of work, but it's like, it means a lot more. It's a weird thing. But I see other, like I think I mentioned, I see other YouTube channels, and that's all they're doing now. They started with like entry level stuff, and they started with all these things that made me inspired to get into it. And I'm like, wow, I can do that. It's affordable. And you're telling me I can make this droid right here with this little printer? Yes, you absolutely can. I've done it. This was on the A1 Mini. This pit droid was on the A1 Mini. I've done helmets on on smaller printers than the A1 Mini. And so I want to encourage that mentality going forward, or just throughout this entire channel. As this channel grows, I'm sure my printers will grow too. Okay, I'm not going to just tell you I'm only going to make do things with entry level, but I won't abandon those. I won't. I will honestly tell you, like, here's this new machine, but one of these can do the same thing, and here's how, and here's why. So that's kind of like like one of those columns goals on my channel, is to always have the hobbyist in mind and the maker in mind when I do these projects. Yes, I have a 3D printing business. I sell items that I make and sell, and I have a whole slew of printers that do specifically that. And then I have, like I said, with the multicolor systems and other printers that are more for like I said, the cosplay, the droid building, the hobby stuff, the household items. I have printers for that. So I'll be explaining on both ends what printers are needed, what materials are needed, and so forth. But it's just a thought of mine that I could see. I wish that the oh God, how do I say this? I don't want, like I said, I want the social media aspect of 3D printing to always remember where it started from and how they inspired this channel and other channels to get into that special mindset of I can create without breaking the bank, with saving a couple $100, which like I said, these are only a couple $100, and yeah, that could be $1 million to some people. It is to me. I spend a lot of time saving up to buy one printer. I'm That's why that's why I can look at like these $3,000-$4,000 printers, and I'm just like, they might as well be a million. I mean, I can't jump into those. I would love to, but I'm not going to stop my momentum and making bigger projects, life size projects, furniture, whatever, on smaller printers. You can do it, and nobody can tell you you can't. It doesn't matter. Everybody has their dream workshop that they would love to do. You look at Adam Savage's channel, right? His tested channel, and you look at his workshop, and that's kind of like, man, the dude's got everything at his fingertips. If you want make a leather pouch, you can do it. If he wants to CNC something, he can do it. If he wants to it's fantastic, and that's a goal, I think, of a lot of makers, to get to that point where you can walk into a shop and just pull things off the shelf and start making stuff. And it also is discouraging, because then you sit back and you watch all the stuff and you go, I just don't know where to start. I don't know how to get to that point. I'm not even gonna, why? It's discouraging, even though someone did an amazing project and you want to do that, but then watching it discourages you, because it's out of reach. It seems out of reach, and that's why I want to do stuff like the builds I'm doing, to kind of like encourage and kind of like negate that attitude of discouragement of having a shop and having stuff like that with just a table, a 3D printer. You got your Home Depots and your Lowe's to go through for tools, and you could just utilize the stuff around you to create things for you. It's your journey. I think it's a lot more special than having a one button print all fix kind of stuff, and you pull out the printer, put on your arm, like, all right, cool, that was anticlimactic, and on to the next. And so again, this could be a hot take, and let me know if I'm wrong or a different opinion. I love it. It's a conversation that should always be happening. It should always be, in the forefront of your thoughts of trying to get into something, because I think a lot of people have a fear too, that I don't want to get into 3D printing if it's going to disappear tomorrow. And it could disappear, meaning the lack of interest, or prices itself right out of the market, where it's becoming like, these machines are now $100,000 and you can't touch them. That is a legitimate fear. I don't see it happening at all. I think there's too many people that are into the hobbyist level of it, but there is going to be a point where the hobbyist level starts to advance so much that now the norm is these mega printers that are $4,000, $3,000, where it's like you can't get a farm of those. And to get one, it's like you might as well just watch videos of it, or just not do it at all. Again, you get discouraged because it's like you want to do it so much, but it's out of reach for a lot of people, and so, this is what I'm doing. I'm thinking about this as my printers are humming in the background. So, if you want to know what is being printed, like and subscribe, hit that bell notification, because when I upload, I think you'll be very, very pleasantly surprised. I even got some experimental prints going on, meaning like I'm going to take, this brand of filament that has maybe got some praise or a lot of dislikes, and I'm going to test it out and see if it's true or not, stuff like that. But again, and also my droid builds and the life size builds, and then also custom builds and stuff too. So I'm going to cover it all. I'm in this space. I'm in it for life, and I can't be happier with the hobby again. I've expressed that so many times on this channel, and everybody that comes on and leaves a comment, subscribes or likes, and just watches my videos, I'm so thankful that you even took the time to do that. So for making it all the way to the end of this video, this vlog, I appreciate you guys so much. So until the next one, I will see you guys on the next video.